Welcome to Confirmation Bias, presented by the League Ambassadors.
I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and I pity the fool who thinks that they can employ a billionaire. And that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Junior Blue, and as you can see by my shirt, I'm a ride with the Lakers for life, and that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Dad, and I got 7 Mac 11s, about 8 38s, 9 10 Mac 10s. The shits never end. You can't touch my riches, even if you had MC Hammer and them 357 bitches. Cannabis said that the greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th. But today is his birthday. Rest in peace, B.I.G. And that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Red-O, and let me show you how the segue was not planned. But happy birthday, Logan Reese Henderson. To my son, who I know in my heart will be great one day. And that's my confirmation bias.
And I'm Ambassador Chef Curry. And despite the similarities from their former career as NBA player, ownership of many businesses, the fact that both of their wives are named after desserts, the biggest similarity between Magic Johnson and the fictional character Wizard Kelly is the criticism that you actually never see their faces. And that's my confirmation bias.
Welcome to Confirmation Bias, hosted by the League Ambassadors. As a reminder, check us out across all social media platforms on our handle at The League AM, as well as our website, theleagueam.com, where you can catch all of our content, our flagship NFL podcast, 32 Kings Road, as well as our blog spot, Diplomatic Immunity, where you, the fan, can spit your bars and drop your hot fire as it pertains to the world of sports. For those of you who are watching us on Facebook Live, please do share the feed. Like and comment, and provide us with any questions that we can attempt to address at the end of our show in the segment Diplomatic Immunity. And please download Confirmation Bias and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts or watch vodcasts. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is under the banner League Ambassadors. And please download Twitch and follow us there under our banner, The League AM, where you will see TLA do all kinds of TLA type shit. This is episode 74 of Confirmation Bias. Today we will discuss the NBA playoffs, a very, very viral moment, a new dominant sport figure, the most bizarre horse racing ever, and an overdue apology. But before we get into that, let's get into our hot topic. Yesterday, Irvin...
I'm not gonna be here.
Irvin, Buck, Magic Johnson.
His fucking name is Irvin.
His name is all that I said.
Whatever.
He was a guest on ESPN's show, First Take.
Bitch asshole ass.
Hold on. You know, you're going to have a lot of time to talk and dive into this, brother. Don't even trip. So on there, he kind of let it all hang out. So our discussion today will center on...
That's why he had to retire.
See, can't leave well enough alone. So our discussion today will center around that, but mostly about the future of the organization. And I want to start with asking the Laker fans, my TLA brothers, to find out exactly what did Magic say in his interview, because I wasn't actually able to catch it live. And for some reason, the whole entire interview has been stripped from the internet. So,
are you serious?
That's what
I'm
happens
dead
when you
serious.
Dracarys.
I'm dead serious.
Dracarys.
I am dead serious. I was only able to watch the first 6 minutes. Everything else is gone.
Lakers.
So I will leave we will start this, and we'll begin this with.
I want to see that shit.
I want to give you guys a platform to talk your shit. And first of all, explain what happened in the interview.
We'll start with he called Rob Pelinka, who's the GM of Backstabber. He basically said that he heard from people in the organization as well as outside of the organization that Rob was telling the truth, which was that he was an absentee executive. He didn't do much work. And basically his thought was, he said that when he got the job, that he told Jeannie, the day that I'm no longer having fun is the day that I will leave. He also said that he had talked to Rob at the start of, I guess, his second year as head of basketball, and said that, listen, I'm trying to prepare you to be in this role. And he said that I, don't have a problem with ambition, but I do have a problem when I'm supposed to be working next to you and you're bad-mouthing me. He also said, when he was asked about why he quit abruptly, specifically why he didn't feel the need to call LeBron James, who he was instrumental. I won't say instrumental. He was involved in his recruitment. He said, basically, I'm a fucking billionaire and I'm a man. So as a man, as a woman, you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. His exact words, and I quote, were, Max, I don't live a regretful life.
Hey, can anybody else?
He also said, I felt I had to do what was best for me.
Yeah,
not what was best for LeBron.
As a man, I got to do, you as a man, as a woman, you got to do what's best for you.
He's still a bitch.
He also talked about the fact that, he obviously supports the Lakers, loves the Lakers, all of that. He gets to be himself. He's back at his job, that the Lakers should, his plan was to, the other reason why he left was because he felt like when he took the job that he only needed to answer to Jeannie. And
I heard that part.
He had 3 meetings when he had the discussions about firing Luke. He wanted to fire Luke. He said Luke's a nice guy. Everybody likes Luke. But he said that he had outlined the things that he did well, the things that he didn't do well, and that he had the first meeting with Jeannie. Jeannie said, let's think about it. He had the second meeting with Jeannie. Jeannie said, go ahead.
They sent somebody else.
And then the third meeting, Tim Harris, who is the COO of Laker, he's in charge of the Laker business, was brought into the meeting. And Tim Harris apparently is friends with Luke and was like, I don't think we should do that. Maybe we should rethink it. So Magic was like, well, if you're bringing in other people involved in this decision-making process when I'm supposed to only answer to you, that then becomes the other reason why.
Backstabber.
And I think that was one of the biggest reasons. He said that business side of the Lakers was supposed to stay on one side of the building. And once Tim came over to the basketball side, he was like, well, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And stopped having fun, I guess.
All that, everything y'all said is all great, right? Like, is it? Right? And the saying goes, everything that comes before the but is bullshit. But he planned this shit.
Yeah.
Magic.
And he said that was
Irvin Johnson.
That also came out.
Sabotage Mr. Laker, purposely sabotaged the Lakers on the day they're introducing their new coach.
Don't get too far ahead.
But this is what he did. This wasn't an accident. This was done purposefully to dig,
not just
to make it worse,
and not just the interview, not just the interview with ESPN, but he literally said in that interview that this wasn't something. And I don't know if it was a case of he didn't understand what he was saying. I think he was just telling the truth. But he said it with such pride that it was sort of an odd thing. But he was like, this wasn't something that I just decided to up and do at the moment. This had been building up for months. So that means it's been building up for months that you was just going to cut the cord in a very abrupt way on the last day of the season, right before the game, right when no one,
Well, let me ask you this, Les, because I hear what you're saying, but if it was in his mind to do, maybe it was, this isn't for me, I'm not able to be there, I want to do other things. Maybe that's what he's leading to, as opposed to like, I can't wait to do this shit and fuck everybody's day up.
No, I feel like he was waiting for that time, and then that straw that broke the camel's back happened.
Which was the Luke.
Exactly, which was the Luke. Having someone come in that he's like, you shouldn't even be talking about what's going on in the court.
Yeah.
And
y'all give him so much fucking credit.
No one's giving him credit. I was just
that's
explaining.
what
I think every move he made was cold and calculated like a businessman, because that's what he is. He knew what he was going to do, when he was going to do it to cause maximum damage to the Lakers.
why?
How does he
doesn't
benefit
make-
that? Yeah, that makes absolutely no sense.
What you mean? So you think what he did on the interview he had?
How does that benefit him?
He don't give a fuck about the benefit. He a billionaire. The fuck he care about the benefit?
that's
he
what
cared
all billionaires
he
care
cared
about.
He cared about winning.
Winning.
That's
what?
what he cared about, and that's what he felt. Y'all gonna backstab me? I'ma damage you. If you think it ain't that petty, because it is that petty.
But you just said that he's been cold and calculated, been doing this for a while, but the backstabbing.
I'm talking
didn't
about
happen.
his decisions. He didn't just make it that decision that day. He made that decision that day because it was gonna have maximum effect. He had this interview because on the day he had the interview, it was gonna have maximum effect.
I don't disagree. Actually, I think I think that's true. I do. And it was in his own words, and he said it. I agree with that. There's no benefit. It's not like he owns the Lakers. So from a money standpoint, he don't have no money. He was getting paid by the Lakers if he was getting paid. I do
he
agree.
already sold his ownership. He has no stake in this shit.
That's the feeling that I got. That is the feeling that I got.
Kev, as someone who really doesn't give a fuck, can you? You seem like you wanted to chime in there.
Yeah, well, I kind of have a little bit of stake in this. I mean, Magic is my personal favorite player of all time. I mean, he's the best on-court decision maker that the league has ever seen. So, I mean, I personally, just from what I saw and what other players, former players and people who are familiar with both Magic and Pelinka said, I believe Magic. I just thought it was interesting that he didn't think there was anything at all that, including how he handled free agency and Anthony Davis, that he could have done different. But I do agree with Omar to an extent. It's like Magic doesn't just do anything. Everything he does is calculated. And I think he was either hurt or just offended with the way things were going with the Lakers that he decided, I'm getting the fuck out of here. But before I get out, y'all not going to put this shit on me. I'm not going to be here. I mean, he's not, in my opinion, you put those three, him, Jeannie Buss, and Pelinka up front. Magic's the last person I'm expecting to make real basketball decisions. And I think he bailed out because he knew the people that are in front of him are not capable of doing what's needed to turn this franchise around.
Point of order, he did admit to one thing that he messed up on, and that was Brook Lopez. He did say that was we did have an opportunity to re-sign Brook, and I messed up there. He did say that.
So a week ago, if I asked y'all name the top 5 things that's going on with the Lakers, Brook Lopez is the thing y'all want somebody to talk about.
Brook Lopez is up there. He's up there. He's up. He's in there.
There's a reason for everyone else. There's no reason to let him go.
To let Brook Lopez go
for $3.9 million or whatever.
And you didn't even have to pay Brook Lopez. All you had to do was just give him a lifelong pass to Disneyland, and he would have took that.
So, Junior Blue, with all this happening yesterday is a very busy day. I mean, we were going to talk about something else, but we kind of go where the flow is. What do you think? Without going too far into the other things we're going to talk about, what do you think the ripple effect of just yesterday, as far as fandom goes, or how Magic is perceived in this town?
It's hard to wipe out what he did.
Omar just did, but
I mean that's him. That's Omar. Though. You know, Omar thought he was too loud when he was the president of basketball operations. He wasn't a fan then, so this just added icing on top of it for him. Right. I don't know if he can have icing, but I think Magic will always be LA. He will always be the Lakers. It's not going to change how people feel about him in the long run. Today, this summer, let the Lakers land a big free agent. Everyone's going to forget about this. And that's how it's going to go.
Magic will always be Magic, but Magic wore number 33.
He didn't.
32.
32.
That
you
was
should
Kareem.
know who wore 33.
Yes. My favorite. This is Irvin. And I could give a fuck about Irvin. And that's real. I separate the player from the executive.
Trust me, Omar. Me and Devin know what that's like. Except for the player from the person
Exactly.
here in Baltimore.
Okay, so
Oh shit.
so yeah, that wasn't the only thing that happened yesterday. Just a few hours later, the Lakers introduced their new head coach, Frank Vogel, in a press conference. So Kevin, since you've been kind of sitting on the side, I wanted to start with you. What are your thoughts on one, the hire, and then two, there's also that little dig in there where we throw a little Jason Kidd assistant coach in there, and then we'll open up for everyone else.
For Frank Vogel as an individual, I think he's a solid coach. I don't think he's great. I mean, if he was a great coach, he wouldn't have been unemployed. I just think as far as the fit, I'm not 100% sure if it's going to work. And I primarily look at LeBron James, not to blame him for anything, but I think we all know what he looks like, how he reacts and how he plays when he has a coach that he didn't necessarily endorse, which I think will make the presence of Jason Kidd even more interesting because it's almost as though he's, the guy looking over his shoulder. And the minute something goes wrong, then there's that dynamic between, well, who's a better leader? Who's a better X's and O's guy? Who does LeBron want? And I mean, we saw that someone made the joke that Jason Kidd was Littlefinger to Frank Vogel's Ned Stark. But I mean, we've seen Jason Kidd kind of, have his run-ins in the past. But I think they made this move because Vogel may have been the cleaner guy, and to just go straight to Jason Kidd wouldn't necessarily been a great transition. But I'm not completely sold, but I think Frank Vogel does deserve a job in this league. I just don't know if it's with the Lakers.
So Jason Kidd is the associate pastor that's always hoping the pastor gets sick.
Jason Kidd will probably be their coach this time next year.
Gentlemen, your thoughts on this?
I don't have a problem with the hire, personally. I'm tired of the Lakers looking at coaches to think about future players. I think a lot of Jason Kidd is about Giannis, and that's all. Because they might think about him and Lonzo, but honestly, what's Jason Kidd really going to teach him? He's not a good coach. His X's and O's are trash. His fourth quarter, he's had some of the worst fourth quarter that you can imagine being a coach. He does stupid things on the sideline. So honestly, spilling drinks against the Lakers, matter of fact.
Yeah, it was.
And it just
you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
I just think it's all about Giannis, and they'll give 3 years for the coach, and then who's up for free agency? Giannis.
Go, Omar.
No, go ahead.
I'm not mad at it. I think that there's a couple of things here. I think number one, everybody likes to pile. When I say everybody, the media, ESPN, they like to pile on the Lakers.
Bleacher Report,
because the Lakers, that's clickbait. That's entertaining. And so they really tried to make this whole coaching hire more of a fiasco than what it really was. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about negotiations, whether you agree with it or not. Their plan clearly is that they want a coach that is going to coincide with LeBron's contract. Yep. And that's what they came into. And I have no problem with having a direction. That was their vision. So it didn't work out with Tyronn Lue. They never offered Monty Williams. So then they come to Frank Vogel, who, coincidentally, I think is a really good coach. And I think he is the type of coach that we need. It's been a long time since we've actually had an X's and O's guy as the coach. I think the Jason Kidd thing, Kev, I agree with you, and I think it's right. I think that, they couldn't come out with Jason Kidd out the box. There's too much there. But I think the thing that people are missing, because they're going for the sexier angle, which is that Jason Kidd is the coach in waiting and is going to be over his shoulder, is that Jason Kidd, you got to ask yourself, why did he take the assistant coach job? He took it because he recognized that he needs to rehabilitate his image. So if you're trying to rehabilitate your image, the last thing that you're going to do is try to derail or usurp the head coach. Could it be the extra on site with the Giannis angle? Possibly. I'd never thought of that until you said it. That's interesting. I do believe there's still some things that he can teach Lonzo Ball. I think Lonzo's. I think a big thing for Lonzo is just physical development.
Yep.
But he can definitely learn from Jason Kidd, and I think I like it. I actually like it. One of the things that they had a problem with, the organization had a problem with, was they didn't necessarily care for the assistant staff of Luke Walton, so they wanted to have more influence there. Jason Kidd interviewed well. He was willing to take an assistant coach job, so then that became part of the negotiation. I'm not mad at any of it at all, actually.
I think Rob Pelinka sees himself in Jason Kidd. They both some fucking backstabbers. So it's real, recognize real, and you looking familiar. So I kind of need you because I can come to you and talk to you what's really going on. So I think that I really do believe that's part of it.
Littlefinger for real.
Yes. I also do believe that they believe he could help further Lonzo's career. I think they believe he can work with him.
He was instrumental in helping Giannis early on.
I believe that is a big reason why they want him here. I also believe that they realize LeBron needs a coach that he can go rock off to who's not the head coach. Lou was that. And he hesitates. He goes to coaches
Because he's passive aggressive.
The coaches he goes to talk to, the ones he becomes friends with, are all ex-players. Vogel's not an ex-player. He's gonna go and gravitate to Kidd.
We went to Fizdale.
So they feel like that is somebody who LeBron can be a confidant.
And again, so both of you guys, both of those points, the Giannis point, that point, which as soon as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And again, to me, that speaks to organizational intelligence.
But listen, that's one of the reasons why Lou wouldn't take it, because Lou was that guy for what's his name? Who was the head coach before Lou?
Black.
Lou was Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
And Lou ended up with the job, so he's like, nah, I'm not going to that same situation. That's not happening.
That makes a lot of sense.
But it makes sense for LeBron.
Right. Yeah. So with LeBron, there's always some sort of drama or dysfunction. So Omar, I want to stay with you. That it appears to be.
You try to say Omar dysfunctional?
Drama and dysfunction.
I'm staying with you, Omar.
Hit a little certain type of way.
This is he's in his bag right here. So there's obviously, regardless of how you spin it, there is some dysfunction because there's a lot of uncertainty.
There's uncertainty. That doesn't mean there's dysfunction. There's a difference. They're not talking. People are filling in the blanks.
Yes.
That is part of their organizational belief
Talk
right
about
now.
it. Yes.
It's about shutting up and showing people what we're going to do.
So
y'all Magic talk too fucking much.
Okay.
So now the game is not talk.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
So, because this is why I couldn't wait for this, Kevin. So,
Yo,
I'm
looking at Kevin's face till Kevin like, whoa.
So Omar, is that a reflection of the structure of how they have everything? Like, is that par for the course? Is that what you guys want?
What we want is to win. What we
Will
want,
you win like this?
Bars.
Well, we wasn't winning the other way. So I don't know. I know I'm fine with Rob Pelinka getting a shot to do this. I believe in him as a talent evaluator. I do. I don't. And they keep saying a GM who does an agent who doesn't have any what's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't have any history doing the GM job, but. There are ways. We don't know how fast a learner he is. We don't know if he's going to be good at it. He got the ball now, so all we can do is see how he handles it.
Kevin.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, from the outside looking in, I think this goes to not only personal but professional things. Is that performance reflects leadership, right? I mean, Magic said that there were too many cooks in the kitchen, and if we're going to go with what he said, whether he should have said it or he shouldn't have, right is right, right? The truth matters no matter who it comes from. I think that in his comments about Jeannie Buss, it sounds like she wanted to be surrounded by people who she trusts and liked more than she wanted to be around people who were actually good at their job. I mean, as much as Michael Jordan and Steve Kerr beef, he knew he was kicking that ball out to him when he was open. He might have punched him in practice, but he was good at his job. And if we're talking about winning is what's most important, sometimes being surrounded by your friends and people you like isn't necessarily the end goal. And of course, you guys are closer to the situation than me, but if, like Magic said, if the lines in terms of whose roles and responsibilities are blurred, then we need to make it very clear this is your job and be good at your job. Don't worry about how this person goes about that, because successful organizations don't operate that way. I don't care if it's a family, if it's a business. It's all out in the open. And if you're comfortable with who you are and what you do, you don't have to talk around anybody's back. You produce in your field, and the Lakers haven't done that in the last few years.
So before we move to the next question, Les, really quick, there's been this vibe out there that Rob Pelinka has a dirty name when it comes to dealing with some of the other GMs when he was an agent. Do you think that's really going to be harmful when it comes time to get big free agents?
As far as free agents, no. As far as trades, yes. I mean, when you go from one side, you're negotiating with somebody and you're playing hardball with whoever's contract it is, and you're going against GMs, and they know you as being a hard ass, shrewd, just going after for your client though.
Yeah.
And it's against the GM, that rubs them the wrong way. So as far as that concerned, yeah, probably so. But as far as free agents, I don't think so. Because he's coming from a place where he had players that they're going to know that he's going to look out for them. He's going to work for them. Even at the GM position, he's going to treat it like he was an agent. Hey, if it's whoever, KD, he's going to come in and say, we're doing this. We're laying this out for you. This is how we're laying it out. It's not, hopefully it's not like Kupchak used to do and say, we're going to make you a movie star out here. It's what we're going to do for you on the court. Right. How can we help you succeed? And that's, from what I've heard, that's how he got his clients. This is our game plan for you. This is how we're going to make you a superstar. And that's what
that
I
message
think
resonates.
It helps with free agents, not with GMs.
Okay. Kenyon, last week, before these misfortunate events, you had
God is still smiling on the Lakers.
last week he was. So you lucked into the fourth pick.
Yep.
So let's talk about the fourth pick. What do you guys do with that?
One of two things. Obviously, one is put it in a package.
Send it somewhere.
Send me somewhere. But when you look at the draft and you look at our needs, we need two things. We need outside shooting for sure, or we need a big man. The shooting guards that can shoot. So first of all, DeAndre Hunter out of Virginia, right? He has out of Virginia, good shooting percentage, more of a front court player. He has a small sample size though in terms of threes. The real issue though is that we have a ton of 3/4 guys. He's not a fit. So then you look at the shooting guards. The top two shooting guards are Jared Culver out of Texas Tech. Jared Culver is not really a three-point shooter. No. Also, from the tournament, looking at him in the tournament, he also is not a great ball handler. Like, he's not explosive. He's a solid player.
He looks more athletic than he is.
He looks more athletic than what he really is. And then the other top shooting guard in the draft is Cam Reddish, who we know is a bust waiting to happen.
10-man.
Coming out of high school, the rap was he's super talented, but he lacks heart. So there's no perimeter options there at 4. But what there is, Mr. Jackson Hayes out of Texas. And I kept looking at him, and it was almost like, man, I hope we don't screw this up. So if we don't trade, put that fourth pick in a package, go get Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes right now at 19 is a rim runner and he's a defender, but he shoots 74% in free throws. He has a jump shot. He has tremendous upside already off the break. Shaka Smart, who is coached Mohamed Bamba, he coached Jared Allen, said that the most talented big man of those three is Jackson Hayes. So I would hope that if we keep the fourth pick, that we go ahead and that we invest in our big future, because now we've got a big at center, we've got our future center, we've got a collection of wing players, and we have a point guard. We've got our future squad there.
Okay. Omar, do you agree with that assessment? Is there other players that you just like, fuck that, let's get out of this pick?
No, I think we're going to have to pick. I don't think people aren't talking about it, but it's going to be hard for us to trade, to package. It depends on the player somebody wants, but people aren't talking about Brandon Ingram's injury. A year to the day of Chris Bosh's original clot, the second clot happened.
There are going to be teams that are wary about Brandon Ingram this year because they got a year to see if it reoccurs.
Right.
So you take away that as a trade bait.
And you got to keep him and put something else in there where you guys might not want to keep him either.
Exactly. So I think we end up keeping the pick. And I would defer to Les and Kenyon on talent level of college players.
Hey, Ken, don't overlook Bruno Fernando either. He's a big who can stretch the floor. I've seen enough of him play to be confident that he can fill that role you guys are looking for.
I would rather pick somebody at 4 and then buy back into, trade back into the bottom of the first half or buy back in the second round to pick him. But I do like Bruno Fernando as well. I agree.
Along with Jackson at 4, I was thinking Darius Garland. We could put him at point and move Lonzo off the ball or flip-flop him to where Lonzo is guarding the point or guarding the 2 guard, whichever is the more explosive player. And then we have someone out there who can shoot. He can actually shoot, and he's a playmaker also. So it's not like putting in Rondo, where we know he's a playmaker, not a shooter. It's someone who can mesh with everybody. You can give the ball to LeBron, and he can kick it out to Garland. Whereas if you just have Lonzo out there and maybe Josh Hart, you never know what you're going to get.
All right, so before we get out of this segment, Les, stay with you. What's the long-term prognosis for the Lakers organization?
Championships.
100%.
I'm trying to figure out what the question
I
was.
know, that's what I'm saying. I don't even know what.
I think
You mean
that
like
was
how do you get there?
Huh?
No, I'm asking Devin. You mean like how do you get there? Because I
didn't come
think
up
that's
with this
everybody's
question.
goal. But
I mean, with what everything's going on right now, the position. With everything that's going on right now, there you go, and your prospects, where you stand, all that coaching.
Right. If you put your hands over your
Thank you, Les.
You're welcome. Put your hands over your ears, and here are the facts. We got $35 million in cap space. We got 4 young, talented pieces. We have the number 4 pick in the draft, and we have a top 3 player in the NBA, and we have a legitimate coach, right? There isn't a team in basketball outside of maybe Golden State and whoever makes it to the finals that wouldn't want to be in our position.
yeah, well, I think the inverse of that obviously would be like, what's your identity? What type of basketball do you want to play?
Frank
What
Vogel
are you
answered that.
offering? And what are you offering free agents? Because global warming, it's going to be sunny and 75 everywhere. Can you guys offer people that they can't get anywhere else?
Thank you.
All right, let's move to Black versus Blue. Hope or hype? Mr. Deontay Bronze Bomber Wilder had a spectacular first-round knockout of Dominique Breazeale this past Saturday. He is now 42-0 with 41 knockouts. I mean, folks, if you didn't see the knockout, I'm sure everybody's seen it at this point. It's not only the knockout of the year. I mean, it was spectacular.
Did you hear the sound?
It's almost like Hearns Duran level.
Yeah. And then the James Brown spin out of it is what I love. Maceo, won't you blow? Question I got for you guys, hope or hype. Does this push boxing further into the mainstream in terms of excitement and anticipation for the sport? Red O.
Of course it does, especially since it wasn't a pay-per-view fight. It was easy access, and we all know heavyweight still carries the water when there's an exciting American heavyweight.
Ooh, he just hit us with the Wilder exciting.
Tuscaloosa. But we needed to see we needed to see some improvement. And like I've always said, when he comes off that jab, he comes from behind the jab, he's a different fighter. When he's not throwing wild punches, he can go through your guard and knock somebody out. That's how powerful he is. So it does help push the narrative forward.
Anybody disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree. It's definitely hope. One thing is, he's had a bunch of devastating knockouts.
Yeah.
The majority of them, we've seen people twitching on the canvas.
Stanky leg.
But this was his viral moment. And we're in an era where that shit carries weight.
Yeah.
So a lot more people were talking about this than any other knockout that he's had. Also, people are going to make a big deal of the comparison between how he knocked him out versus how Joshua took 7 rounds to do it.
Yeah.
Now, that may get blown out of proportion because they've had 3 common opponents, and Joshua had the better outing against the other 2. But none of them was as devastating
Vicious.
as this one.
He was asleep on the way down. And
Yeah.
he
The
was,
ground
and he
woke
was
him up.
6'7". Yeah,
Yeah.
He was 6'7".
And Dev, to your point though, like I get it. Like this is the day we live in of his viral moment, but it is kind of giving me flashbacks of the Tyson days where it was almost like, yo, you can't get up and walk away from the fight or go to the bathroom, or in my case, look down to charge your phone. Next thing you know,
Don't blink.
the fight's gonna be over. So I think it's definitely, I'm hopeful that this is gonna put boxing back in the forefront because his fights now are almost like it's must see TV.
It's definitely hope, but he went viral before the fight
Because of the-
when he
the
was
body.
talking
I'ma
about
catch a body.
I'm gonna catch a body.
He almost did.
We in a sport where it's legal to kill a man, so why not catch a body?
Which I don't know why everybody was overreacting to that because that's not the first time he
said
said
it,
that.
yeah.
He also went viral against Radio Raheem to this day. To this day.
But that's all been hyped, though, about him as a persona, but, like, this is about him boxing.
So staying with you, Dad, does this get us closer to the big fight? Everybody, even if you are a novice in the sport of boxing, you've heard the names Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Will Saturday's outcome and how explosive it was, will this get us closer to the fight?
I think absolutely it will. I think we're looking at 2020, though. I think there's a tremendous amount of pressure on Joshua in next weekend, June 1st. Not because that the opponent is bothersome. It's that he has to stay in top of mind and be as explosive and as viral as Deontay.
First fight in New York, going
Yeah,
against
it's
Andy Ruiz Jr.
Andy
or whatever.
Ruiz Jr. Because Big Baby got
That's right.
That's why I think we'll get another fight before. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. And again, I mentioned this, I think, in the chat like last week. I didn't realize, I forgot that this fight was in New York, like you
Yeah.
said. That's a small baby step
Yeah.
to bring him over here because they want to get that built up.
Shelley Finkel said that there is an offer out there that DAZN can make that Wilder will accept. And I think the DAZN piece is important because you can't do, like with Mayweather Pacquiao, they did the split with Showtime and HBO. Can't do that with DAZN because from the UK standpoint, there's a time gap. So it's got to be a situation where Wilder, who, as we know, is not necessarily tied to Showtime, he's managed by Al Heyman. So he could actually be on DAZN. He could sign a deal with DAZN. There is a deal out there that can be made. So I agree with you. I think the groundwork is going to be laid where we'll get to the big fight. Let's go newsworthy or nothing to see. Last night, the Portland Trailblazers were put out of their misery, be the way to say it, by the Golden State Warriors.
Summarily dismissed.
Summarily
That's
dismissed.
what you like to use.
Yeah. Summarily dismissed by the Golden State Warriors. Newsworthy or nothing to see. Damian Lillard, played the Western Conference Finals since the early part of Game 2 with the separated rib. And the reason why I'm asking is it newsworthy is because 3 out of the 4 games, Portland had double-digit leads. When you look at the minutes total, they led 101 minutes out of 184 total minutes. Golden State only had the lead for 83 minutes in that series. Newsworthy or nothing to see, Kev?
It's nothing to see, unfortunately. And I love Dame. We all love Dame. But, hey, Les, what the meme say? Dame could have been clutch. CJ could have dropped 40. Cantor could have not been fasting and dropped 20 and 20. And they were going home early. I think at the end of the day, it's what we've been talking about all season. As long as we've been doing this show, there's basketball and then there's playing winning basketball. And Portland can look great in the second quarter, maybe even the third when Golden State usually make their runs. But when it's time to get quality shots and get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, they just haven't figured out how to do that yet. And that's why they've been swept the last 3 years.
Newsworthy or nothing to see, Redo?
Nothing to see. They were going to lose anyway. Like they had no shot. All this was is another excuse to me.
Anybody even looking at me? Huh?
Hey, real quick. Do y'all think Denver would have made this a better series? Because I didn't going into it because Golden State always washes the floor with them, but they got swept. So
Absolutely not.
No, it would have been the same outcome. Newsworthy or nothing to see. This past Saturday, the 144th Preakness. What do you call
Stakes.
it? Preakness Stakes. Thank you. Preakness Stakes was had in Pimlico.
Excuse me?
Pimlico.
Pimlico.
That too.
Pimlico.
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa.
That's a Baltimore thing. That's what doughboys be around.
Yeah, dude. And War of Will, who coincidentally was involved in the Kentucky Derby. He was the horse that was interfered with by Maximum Security. War of Will, out of the number 1 post, which is the most unfavorable position, prevailed. But is that the newsworthy piece of it, or is it that the number 9 horse, Mr. Bodexpress, he went jockeyless for the entire race because at the start of the joint, the jockey was airborne? Newsworthy or nothing to see, Dad?
It's absolutely newsworthy. I've never seen anything like it. I grew up around the racetrack. I watched the Triple Crown all the time it comes on. A horse is generally 7 feet tall at the head. He was 8.5 feet in the air. And what was most impressive about that is he finished the race.
And not in last!
I was rooting for him. He wasn't last, and he ran a whole nother lap around before they could get him.
He had a little less weight.
So my question is this, like, I kind of want to see jockeyless horses race.
Yeah, I do too!
Makes it more interesting, yeah.
Faster to the glue factory.
Oh my God. Oh my.
That's animal cruelty.
Newsworthy, nothing to see, Junior Blue.
Newsworthy, because nobody cares about the Preakness if the Kentucky Derby winner isn't in the race.
Facts. Yeah, I mean,
Especially if it's going to be the last year that the Preakness Stakes is in Baltimore anyway. So get it up out of here, man.
the two horses, the 2 jockeys that finished behind Bodexpress, kill yourself.
Right.
You serve no purpose.
Like, you
Kill
can't be
yourself.
here anymore.
You
right?
can't be here anymore. And then did y'all see they said there's a term for it. I don't know what it is, but they sent the lady out on the horse to try to finesse Bodexpress. Bodexpress, nah, I'm working right now.
They about to get this.
Yo, if y'all get a
That
chance,
muscle memory.
go back and watch it again, but watch the guy who's standing behind the horse holding it. His whole demeanor, you can't read his lips, but you could just tell he thought in his own head, like, man, I had one job. I fucked this up. Trust me, go back and watch it. It's hilarious.
It would be my first time.
All right. Oh God, Omar. Hit or flop? Brooks Koepka. He prevailed in the PGA Championship Major this past weekend. Kind of tried to give it away there on Sunday, but he was a wire-to-wire winner. He had 4 consecutive bogeys coming down the stretch. But hit or flop that Brooks Koepka will be the true competitive rival for Tiger Woods. Hit or flop, Junior Blue?
I'm going to say flop because do we know if Tiger's going to win another one?
Yeah.
Okay, so if he's going to win another one, Koepka is dominating the PGA championships, right?
He's majors. He's 4 in 24 months.
So I don't think he'll be the competitive one for him because I don't know if Tiger's going to win enough to be like, I'm winning 4 out of the last, 24? Mm-hmm. I don't know if Tiger's going to be competitive enough for it.
Agreed.
Does he win 1 more? Does he win 2 more? But we know Koepka has, if he continues on this path, he has a few more in him, for sure.
To be clear, Tiger Woods didn't even make the cut
Yeah.
in the PGA tournament, but he was also sick. He also
Hadn't played
He
since the
hadn't
Masters.
played since the Masters.
He visited Trump.
The cooler.
He said he was sick.
That's good. Hit or flop, Dad.
It's a hit because, like you said, he's 4 in 24 months. He's been a top 10 finish in at least one of the majors since 2017. So he's rolling. Like when I don't know what he does outside of the majors, but when it's major time, fuck a walk, he's zipping his pants.
He
down.
ain't giving kisses.
Nope.
He played her to the left.
Not to her.
Facts.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce is always competing, but for me, I would say
Who?
this is a hit. But what's the first name?
Brooks.
Brooks.
Yeah, we
Hey,
said Bruce.
listen,
We're on the road.
let's keep it going.
That's the only one.
Sorry. For me, this has everything to do with how popular golf actually wants to be. And if I was them, I would completely push the storyline that Koepka and Tiger got this little beef going. I mean, I would promote that, like, look, black people took Koepka over Tiger in the race draft. He won't go visit Trump. He's the true hero.
And
like,
we know
seriously,
that's
I
not
would really
happening.
push that storyline because and we know in sports, for media, you have to have a good guy, bad guy, this guy versus that guy. And golf hasn't necessarily had that in a while. Brooks is the closest thing to it. His name is Bruce now. Fuck it. He's black.
I think it. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
I was just going to say, I think that's the move to actually make this a real rivalry.
I think the question should be reversed. I think the question should be, will Tiger be a competitive rival for Koepka? You know, because we just, you know, Tiger came out the blue, he won. I mean, he's been looking better, but then he does this shit. So it's like, okay, is he really on the way? Is he really back? So we don't know that. Can he keep up with Koepka?
I think Tiger's a live dog in any tournament. I think the biggest challenge that he'll have because he's older is recovery. Right. And I think that you look at what happened from the Masters to the PGA as a prime example of that. Right. Can he play enough tournaments? It's interesting hearing Koepka's logic with majors. He says majors are easier than normal tournaments because he was like, first of all, not everybody gets invited to the majors. And then you already know that half of the guys are not going to make the cut. So now you're talking about 30 golfers, and of those 30 golfers, you're only really worried about 5 or 6 guys. So for him, mentally, he's already preparing to only go against a small group anyway, and that's why he feels like majors are easier. It'll be something to watch. Hit or flop. Big Ben said sorry to Antonio Brown yesterday. He said, actually today at the start of in the conclusion of the OTAs, said that he failed in leadership in 2018. But he also yesterday apologized, saying that, you know, he's sorry for offending Antonio Brown and that he wishes that he could make things right and that he attempted to make things right. And Antonio Brown's response, very simple, short response was he called him a two-face. Hit or flop that Big Ben is going to be a better leader in 2019. Red O.
I think it's a flop. For one, there are 2 ladies that need apologies first. Me too. There's a line, so you can't skip the line. So if you can't get to that, we don't believe you. You need more people.
And what he was talking about was rape. For those of you who didn't know.
I was going to let y'all rock off.
Flop. Kev, hit or flop.
This is a flop. And it's nothing personal to Big Ben and
Yeah,
the
it
Steelers,
is.
but I
Get
feel like
outta here.
this is like burning down King's Landing and then apologizing all of that. Like, yo, you should have corrected this when AB told you that you fucking up. And this is what caused the division between the Steelers. To come out and say this now after he got traded months later is
move.
bullshit, man.
Yep.
It's bullshit.
What's the score, Kev? Do you know? In the Toronto
Game over.
Well, Kawhi 2D2 and them boys won by 18. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys scoring in double figures.
What did
Series
Kawhi
is
do?
tied 2-2.
What did Kawhi do?
Kawhi had 19 and 7, but Kyle Lowry had 25.
All right, let's get to our debate segment. Is you with it or nah? We've got the Laker buddies.
Who got a coin?
This ought to be fun. We got the Laker pals arguing about the Golden State Warriors, as it were. The question, real simple: are the Golden State Warriors, and this is a hot topic, are they better with or without Kevin Durant?
Does anyone have a coin? Kev, you got a coin?
Cav, you got a coin? Anybody got a coin? All right. Junior Blue, pick a number between 1 and 10.
7.
All right. Red O.
8.
7 wins. The number was 5. Junior Blue, which side of the argument do you want? Are they better with or without Mr. Durant?
They're better with.
They are better with Durant. I'm assuming you want him to go first.
Assume away.
Assume away. DJ.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
All right, let's go. All right. There's no way the Golden State Warriors are better without Durant, a top 3 player in the league. The Warriors are a great team without him, but they are damn near invincible with him in the lineup. Yes, we have heard the record, 32-1 without him in the lineup and 7-0 in these playoffs. But 26 of these games came in the regular season. And like I said, they are a great team, and they run a great offense, and we know during the regular season, not too much defense is played. So when you have the talent they have and the plays that they run against no defense, what happens? You win, but that's the regular season. Let's look at the teams like Atlanta, the Spurs, Houston. All these teams had top records in the league, but lost in the second round because what? Defense gets harder. So the Warriors had one championship without KD. And many have argued with me that it was lucky. Lucky, you say? How you win a championship lucky, right? They played the Pelicans without Drew Holiday, the Grizzlies without Mike Conley, Houston without Pat Beverly, and then in the finals, they faced the Cavaliers without Kyrie Irving or Kevin Love, and they won in 6 games. And to validate that argument, they ran that finals back a year later, and what happened? The Cavs won in 7. Now comes Durant in 2017, and they were 16-1 in the playoffs, beating the Cavs 4-1. Guess who was the MVP? Durant. In 2018, they ran it back, and guess what they did this time? They swept the Cavs. Durant MVP again. Now, the 6-0 record in the playoffs looked great, but Steph Clay and Draymond playing like it's a regular season against Houston, who plays no defense, it's too easy. Let them play Milwaukee or Toronto in the finals next round without KD, and they'll find out how they're not better without him.
All right, Junior Blue. They are not better without Kevin Durant. Red O.
You know, it's funny. He is obviously a great player. Obviously, top 2 player in the league, or top 3. I'm talking about KD. But there's something to say about addition by subtraction. The beauty of the Golden State Warriors offense is early offense. Their early offense is best in the league without him. There's something to say about motion. When Durant has the ball, it goes through him, and it often bogs down. If you look at the game now, all of a sudden, Green looks like a max contract player again. Those whispers, those murmurs, those screams that people were starting to talk about Curry like he was overrated have shut the fuck up. The coach, you can tell the joy is back. He coaches better without that man. The thinnest bench in the league is out there playing like they're happy because the ball is moving through Green and they're getting the ball. And when you get the ball, you get confidence and you play better. Klay Thompson all of a sudden discovered how to play defense again. It's almost like that taking away him brought back the joy, because that's what they had before he came, and that's what everyone was jealous about. And they sweeping folks without him. It ain't gonna be a difference whoever comes from the East Coast, because this is Golden State Warrior ball, and this is what they do. And they can't wait for him to leave, honestly. I think they're gonna win a championship without him or with him, so it doesn't matter. And that's my confirmation bias.
Kevin, I don't know if you was thinking what I was thinking, but I definitely thought he said the thinnest bitch in the league. And I was like, who was he talking about?
Talking about KD?
Hey, who Omar just called?
Kev.
You made that a lot harder than I thought you were going to. Well, I'll start by saying this. Just my personal thought is that, having KD is like having a big joker, in spades. It's great to have, but you can, still win the hand without it. I think this season, the way that team is constructed, I do think they need him to beat a deep team like Milwaukee if they move forward. But I think moving forward, they're better off without him because they can use the cap space from him to actually build a deeper team, which when they're playing at all cylinders, they're almost unstoppable. So I'm going to go with, I think, who made the best argument. God damn it. I'll go with Les, man. I'll go with Les. But it wasn't easy, bro. You definitely made that a close debate.
Whatever.
Hey, I do agree with you. They let him walk. They get to build a better bench. and they will be better for
And
that.
a
But this
younger
year,
team, and y'all gonna be looking at these motherfuckers holding up the Western Conference trophy for the next 3 years.
What is Clay's max gonna be? Because if he goes
The max.
the max,
It's going to be the max. Yeah.
Is that 30 million?
The thing is, the conundrum is this is going to be, and I think Omar said it's going to be an interesting summer. If for some reason, because Golden State is not going to tell Kevin Durant no if he says that I want to stay.
Right.
If he were to do that, that would mean Draymond Green is gone.
he got one more year though. Right?
No, he would be traded this summer.
Oh, they would trade him.
He would be traded this
But who's
summer.
more valuable between those two?
And that's a great question. Let's get to diplomatic immunity. Kevin, do we got anything, sir?
We do. Slug wanted to clarify that Preakness will be back in Baltimore another year, but he's never taken me, so who cares? Big Herm, Eric Cotman said Omar definitely said the thinnest bitch. But he also wanted to ask you Laker fans, the recent word around the street is that Kyrie will be interested in teaming up with LeBron again. Would you guys even entertain that as Laker fans?
I will take a K.
Not Kyrie. I don't think. I think that the media again. The media
Right.
is underestimating how much the Lakers like Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
And I hear what you're saying. Like when you talked about Darius Garland and moving him over to the 2. I suppose that would be possible, but that's not Lonzo's strength. I think that picked up steam because of what Magic said. And, will Kyrie talk to the Lakers? Will the Lakers engage him? I think that's an open question. I don't know.
And I don't think anyone, because Kyrie is mercurial to say the least.
I think both he and Kevin Durant are actually all 3 of those Ks are question marks this summer. No one really knows what Kyrie. You can't tell me what
from his daddy.
Kyrie, Kevin, or Kawhi are going to do this summer. They could all literally stay exactly where they are, and then this turns into nothing.
No, he's out of Boston.
His bags were packed.
3 months ago.
Kev, do we have anything else before we get out of here?
Yes, we always have to throw one up to Mr. Paul from Minnesota.
Man.
Since we typically give teams that get eliminated a post-mortem. As far as Portland goes, we kind of touched on Dame a little bit. They announced that they're going to extend Coach Stotts. But what do you guys think that they need? Was it just that they just ran up against a better team? Or, did they have a personnel issue? Is it a coaching issue? What are they missing?
I'd like to see them with Nurkic, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's experience, and you got to earn your stripes.
Because they contract situation ain't no better. So
yeah, right.
Aminu's gonna get the max.
Aminu's a free agent. They have to make a decision on him. I think where they could get some room is if they again. I feel like I said this last year. Figure out a way to trade either Evan Turner or Miles Leonard.
That's my point. The contract situation is the same.
They got all their future first round picks. So if you package a first round pick with one of those two,
he made some money the last week.
Nah.
He didn't make he didn't make enough to cover it.
Well, the music says that we're done. So I'm gonna take this time to close up the show. Thank you.
Fuck out.
Sorry, Peter. Sorry. #MeToo movement. But that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us on Confirmation Bias. Download Twitch and follow the League AM. Subscribe to all of our content on social media. That's at the League AM. The website is theleagueam.com. Check out Diplomatic Community and talk your shit. Please share across all social media. Liking is cool, but sharing is caring. See y'all bitches next week.
Steph Curry coming to LA, baby.
Lakers.
Vacation time.
1, 2, 3, Cancun.